DCA adventure is rated F for fucking awesome.
Yo, Crypto Nation, another FA Friday, guys. Yo, what's up, all you awesome people out here? We got our two favorite people to start off with, at least. We got our man over here, DogeLord Chris, myself, Nemesis. What's going on? Oh, we might need it, man. You just blew our, trying to not swear, but damn it, our intro. Ooh, right off the hit, he gives it to us. Oh, and right on. Okay, we have the Gundy coming on in here now. Yo, we got the meme master. Hey. We get an awkward view. We get an awkward view of Gundy with his data center tents in there. All those data center tents, man. He's got epic mining over there. What, your stuff broken over there? I've got no... Oh, you know what? Windows update. Windows update, bro. Hold on here. It's got to be something on here.
Can you hear me? Testing. Can you hear me?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's capturing you guys in any way, shape, or form.
Catching me for like ins and outs for a
there
quick minute there.
Fixed.
You fixed it?
Yeah, it was definitely the Windows update. That's what I was saying. It was being really stupid because of it.
You fixed it?
Yeah, it definitely. And then I hear myself a second time. It was really stupid. Gundy.
You fixed it?
Yeah, definitely the one. And I got Gundy. It was really stupid. Gundy.
Okay, turn off the extra audio. Put some headphones on.
It was really stupid. Gundy.
Okay, turn off.
I just muted him. I can't do it. It's painful. It's looping. It's looping over there. It's like, oh god, no.
It's like I went ahead and shut off the audio because I was testing to see if I could hear it in the live stream, and then okay, great, microphone's working, so I muted it. But I'm still hearing the echo because of you, Gundy. Way to go!
Right,
you're banned.
Right, Panhammer. All right, damn Windows update, man. It updated last night. Turned it on today when I got off of work, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Everything seems to be okay. And then as I'm slowly opening up stuff, everything is updating. It's like, oh no.
Oh Lord.
I'm surprised it didn't mess with my audio. Now I've got to I got to double check my own audio.
Well, you sound like you're in a tunnel to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Hold on here.
Or like you're talking into like a steel drum.
That's
like
working
a barrel.
there.
Wheeling Crypto says you're coming out loud and clear, so I can hear you at my end at home. There you go.
Right,
awesome. Right. All right. Do you think we should unmute Gundy? Maybe he no longer needs to be in the.
Oh no,
the
he can sit there and unmute himself.
Oh, okay. All right. You didn't make it administrative mute everybody.
No.
Okay, oh, okay. So happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
I know, right? Spooky day.
Happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
Hey, Gundy, we're hearing
Gundy.
What's happening?
I just heard myself through your audio.
What happened?
I heard myself say happy Friday the 13th.
Okay,
again.
I fixed it.
Awesome.
All right. Technical difficulties are brought to you by DCA Adventure. Happy Friday the 13th.
Like rearranging everything in the basement. I'm like, holy crap, it's 10 o'clock.
Hey man, didn't they didn't the what is it, Jihad like call this like their day now?
I don't know, man. Don't believe everything you see on the news every day.
No, dude.
You still watch the news?
No, man.
You still watch the propaganda machine?
It was on the it was on the Twatterverse, formerly known as X.
Yo. You know what that means? Because of the whole microphone issue, nobody heard that epic DCA Adventures rated F. Or fucking awesome.
Oh,
right out the gate, first thing, as soon as the daggum live stream started.
I know. Sorry, guys. I let you down. Because
they also
of the
missed
damn
my
windows.
epic comment about Gundy's indoor sauna-looking thing that he's got in his room.
Right, his little data vault center.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it.
The data vault or the indoor sauna?
That was Freedom Hashes.
Oh, okay. Yo. So who do we have in the chat? We got Wheeling Crypto, Tech Man.
We got all the cool people here. I'm just saying.
I know. Fucking awesome. You guys rock. How's your guys' week been? My week has been pretty epic.
I will be. I just put my 2-week notice in at the company I just started with.
Working the mechanic shop.
Oh yeah. That didn't last long.
What?
Oh,
what happened?
My God. Now I won't throw the company specifically under the bus on it. So
no, of course not.
I'll say the situation. So I'm flat rate. So every job I do, there's a specific amount of time that I get paid to do it, no matter how long or short that job takes. Yep. So let's say a brake job pays me 1.2. Well, if I can get that done in 20 minutes, I get 1.2, which is perfect. I like that. It's like getting overtime for every hour you work. So I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this whole idea of how the pay structure is for a mechanic. I'm fully aware of how this works. A shop that doesn't have a lot of customer count means you don't make a lot of money, which also means that mechanics don't tend to stay there because there's no opportunity there. Well, that leads into the whole thing of like a week ago or so, they had submitted my pay, my hours in, and something on their end got screwed up, and I was only going to get paid. I get paid every 2 weeks, and they were only going to pay me for 1 week. And they didn't question this, not one bit. They were like, "Oh, okay, well, all you do is pay this. Oh, perfect, we love this." So we all basically like threatened mutiny on them to like, "You're paying us. We worked." Whatever happened over here, not my problem.
Yeah, that's an admin issue, not an I didn't work that week issue.
Right. And
when you
so
on that
that
book
was
time, bro.
one. And then so they were like, hey, give us like 30 days or so. We're trying to set something up that's gonna kind of alleviate a lot of this problem. And we were like, okay, cool. So now we just caught wind of what this new program is. And this new program is now this is like the first shop since I've started. Since like over 20 years ago. You know, before computers were widely available.
Right.
That I had to hand record every hour myself. I have to keep track of my hours.
Flag it up, yeah.
So I'm like, wow, it's been a hot minute since I've had to do this before. I'm like, okay, cool. I can deal with this. Whatever. It's a little inconvenience. Whatever. I can get over it. And now they're wanting me to take photos, upload them into the app so that the admins can have them directly as I'm working on the vehicles. And then I don't get paid unless the customer picks up.
Picks up
What?
the car and brings it back home.
No,
You mean they're
they
not gonna
pay.
pay you out until
If
they
they
get paid?
paid for the car, I get paid. If they don't pay for the car, I don't get paid.
So if they have like 10 cars on their lot, no one's picking up, then no one's getting paid?
Yes.
Wow. Is this what it's come to? That's crazy.
Yeah. I so as soon as I caught wind of that, I got a hold of the wife and I'm like, is it okay if I put my 2-week notice in?
Yeah,
I'm
I got
done.
something to say.
Her first reaction was, "Why? What's going on?" And then you tell her, and then she's like, "Yes, babe."
Oh,
By all
dude,
means,
her
that's freaking
first
bullshit.
words were, wow.
It's like, that was quick.
I've been in this field for over 20 years. Yes.
Sounds to me like the 2 weeks that you gave them is as a courtesy.
That's why I got out 10 years ago. I saw it.
Is the time that you should be,
Horrible
you know,
direction.
uploading your resume at like ZipRecruiter or Monster Jobs or something. Find another one.
The mechanic jobs are so like there are places that are just like you can name your price as a mechanic. Mechanics are in such high demand right now because they're it's so technical on a lot of the stuff. You're not doing, oh, let me do brakes, shocks, fluid changes. No, man, you're getting these weird funky problems of like electrical stuff coming in, and you're like
German nightmare.
bashing your head
More
against the
computers
wall.
than mechanical.
That
It's
Porsche
like,
that has a body
oh my
control
god,
button.
like you're before like 15, 20 years ago, you'd be like, I got a code for this. Let me see if that sensor is working. Yeah, no, that sensor's flatlined. Put a new one in. Ah, it's fixed.
Well, back
Ship
in the
it.
early 90s, man, it was replaced with known good part. That
Right.
was the only repair fix because there was no repair fix.
Right, because like they didn't have hey, this is gonna take this should ohm out to this. This should have so many voltages here. This should have so many amps over here. If you don't, if you do, check over here. If you don't, check over here. It's like, oh my lord! Next thing
It's
you
not
know,
bad.
you're 4 hours into hunting down 4 wires.
Oh, man. The best is when you got to break out the EWDs, you know?
Oh yeah.
You know you in for some fun and some back probing. And some,
Oh yeah, I just pull out a multimeter and my power probe, and I start separating wires.
When you get reference voltage, that throws everybody off too. Be like, why am I testing a 12 volt circuit but getting 5 volts?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's your reference voltage. What's that? Oh man, I don't have time to explain this to you, kid.
Yo, what's up, MC?
Or you get people, they're like, why is this weird diode capacitor sitting in between power and ground right before the AC compressor? Oh, it's just signal noise. You can just bypass it with 12 volts. What?
Yeah, Sadie said, started in the mid 90s. Wrenching has changed so much.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I've been like wrenching since I was a wee little kid. So you're talking like my early introduction is probably like 86, 87. And then just started breaking off on my own with small engines, dirt bikes, motorcycles, and stuff like that. And then the wife's like, why don't you get yourself some college? Because I was already a high school dropout by that point. You know, your typical mechanic.
You don't exactly need a university degree to turn a wrench.
That is true.
But yeah, you're not exactly working for Forza Motorsports without it.
Yeah, no, because and it really sucks. Like, you would think that, oh yeah, you got your college degrees, you know, you got your tools, you can pretty much work on any car. Why don't you try to go work for Ferrari or Porsche or, you know, one of the bigger name companies directly, right? And that would be amazing. Amazing. So, a funny story, while I was in college, I was talking to an Audi representative. So, I had an Audi recruiter at the college.
Mm-hmm.
And I was probably I wasn't like an A student. I was like a B student. But when it came to certain things, I was like top of the class, even though I didn't test out perfectly. Testing was not my strong point. So I was talking with this Audi representative, and she was really cool. And I'm sitting here going, you know, hey, what would it take for me to work for you? So she's like, what did you get for your high school grades? And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? She's like,
yeah,
well,
that was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
No, this is when I was in college. So, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. But I was like, what does that have to do with anything? She's like, oh, we look back all the way to your freshman year in high school. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, I dropped out. And I'm like, I got my GED and I'm going through to college and everything. She's like, oh, that's nice, but we can't touch you. I'm like, oh, that's bogus.
Yeah, see,
and she's
that
like,
point, the only way you could actually work for some place like Audi is if you actually rolled up into the parking lot with a custom-built freaking car that you built yourself, and it looked like it came out of Gotham Garage or something. Or West Coast Customs.
And then she's like informing me. She's like, if you think we're bad, you should try Ferrari. And I was like, oh, you got to tell me this one. What's the skibby on them? And she's like, so Ferrari goes all the way back to grammar school. That was the same look I gave her. So,
like
Ferrari,
middle school? Or elementary school?
Elementary school, bro.
The fuck for?
So, they can pick the creme de la creme. They want to make sure that you have always been a top performer in your class.
What's up, DogeLord?
Hey, well,
you got to think. I mean, Ferrari only sells cars. Let this sink in, people. Ferrari only sells cars so that their Formula One racing division has an unlimited budget. Let that sink in.
That F12's not looking so hot now, is it?
An oil changer, an oil tech, a guy that sits there and just does an oil change for Ferrari and tire rotations, right? Makes $125,000 a year.
And he wears white gloves when he drives that bitch in the parking lot.
Oh my God, dude. You're talking about like prima donna mechanics that, oh my God.
Dude, I worked at Lexus for 7 years.
And the Ferrari guys that I've talked to, he's like, when I hear tune-up on an F40, I smile. I was like, what?
It'll be all week. Thanks.
He's like, you're dropping the motor out of that thing. the whole back of the car comes out.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? He's like, oh, the back 4 cylinders that are up against the firewall, so like facing the driver's seat, you can't get to them.
Yeah, no, you can't. Like,
And since you're pulling out the motor, you're also going to do the timing belt water pump, and you're replacing belts on it. You're doing your transfer case, your transmission fluid change on it right then and there. All maintenance is being done. You're in 20 grand on your maintenance.
Oh yeah, maintenance, baby.
Well, yeah, they got to pay the oil changer 120 grand a year.
No, this is the guy that's just doing the basic maintenance at 60,000 miles.
Oh, 60K on an exotic, man. That's a big service.
Oh yeah, and believe it or not, a Ferrari isn't broke in until 80K.
Yeah.
That's when the motor finally loosens up a little bit, and it gives you like your power increases. It's a known fact.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Their clearances on piston to cylinder wall is so tight that it takes 80,000 miles worth of wear and tear on that motor for it to get the clearance it really needs for it to get happy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's like every time you do like BMW struts or something, it was they're already like pre-compressed a little bit, you know, just for the tightness, but like it wears the shit out of them quick as fuck.
And then if you really want to get like all the performance out of the motor, really get it out, you go to an 8-to-1 collector on it.
8-to-1.
Yeah.
For like superchargers or
No, for the exhaust collectors. So you go equal length tubes, 8-to-1.
I forget, was it all to one for turbo, or like if it's stepped down, that was more for like superchargers?
It doesn't really matter. It's how you're putting them into the collectors. So the 8-to-1, like if you ever noticed like your Formula One race cars and your supercars, they've got that super high note to them, right? Like especially when they whip past you, man, they just got this high pitched note to them, and it's like you're like, oh my god, that thing is turning and burning right now. And under the stock exhaust systems, it doesn't really do it. As soon as you put them to an 8-to-1 collector, it increases horsepower, especially in a Ferrari.
Yeah, man, the compression goes way up.
It scavenges the cylinders better.
Yeah, it's pulling all that air.
Oh yeah, it makes it drops the header pressure off of it. No more back pressure. Bye bye.
Yeah. Start sucking it. I mean, basically all these motors, they're all just big giant straws.
Oh, I call them air compressors. They're just big air compressors, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, you ever seen anybody do like a throttle body like flush service and like not use a drip thing and just put a tube into like one of the intake manifolds vacuum hoses?
All those fuel injection cleaning scam things that I see people doing, and they keep selling it where I'm at, and I don't believe in them because they don't fucking work for shit, is those drip systems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. They do not work at all. So what you're trying to tell me is the chemicals that are already in the fuel system, that are already present in the gasoline, you put a concentrated drip into it, that somehow it's going to magically touch the carbon on the back side of your valves, and it's going to magically clean it.
Well, if you do it correctly, you're supposed to like fog it at like 1800 RPM, and you're supposed to like run it for half an hour.
Yeah, I do it. I know how to. I know how to do it. I do it. I've done it that way. And if you look at the back of the valve, if you look at it before and after, it makes no difference.
Oh man, I brought in Hondas back to life with that shit. Well,
I think you're just holding it at 2,000 RPM for 30 minutes brought it back.
Regular gas, like you're gonna have more carbon buildup anyway.
Well, I mean, if you think about it too, it's like if you bring something up to 2,000 RPM and let it hit that for 30 minutes solid, no interruption, the temperature alone should burn off the carbon off of it.
I mean, it'd help for sure, yeah.
So
That's
I
the
will
problem
sit
with
there
carbon in the intake is, everybody short drives. You drive 10 minutes to the store, turn your car off. It's not even heated up. Like
Nope.
all that pre-burnt fuel is in your intake, and it's just going to solidify. But the best way to do is rip the manifold off and clean it, with a scrub brush on the inside.
Right. So I mean, the way I look at it is it like the carbon is gonna be there, and the carbon is not so much there from the fuel, from what I can see. This is my theory.
Yeah.
This is just my theory, because like they try to recommend doing those fuel injection cleaning services like every 12,000 miles. They recommend it or something like that.
That's just crazy.
And
maybe 30.
you can see the moment that if you watch a motor and you like know the motor, and if like been working on it for years and you watch it hit that 100K threshold, what's the number one failure at 100K?
Spark plugs.
Valve guide seals. They start blowing out at right around 100K. I don't care what fucking motor you got.
I got an IS with 200K on it. That would say
yeah, and I guarantee you have a small weepage of oil, depending on how the valve stem is angled with how it sits oil on there.
It's direct injection.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Still gonna have valve guides on it.
Yeah.
And once those start weeping in the slightest bit, that's where the carbonization comes from. Is burnt oil.
Burnt gas, yeah.
Not so much the gas, because gas wants to evaporate. That's gonna leave a shellac on it.
I don't know,
Gas will leaves like a powder, a weird powdery residue to like a lacquer-like substance. Like if you've ever pulled apart a carburetor that's had gasoline dry up inside of it, it leaves like a lacquer-like substance behind. Or you get it to where it plays with the metals that are there and it leaves a powdery residue behind.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
So those are your two instances with fuel. So the carbonization is not coming from the fuel. That's coming from the oil being burnt on top of the valve. Valves are going to get freaking hot. That's a sealing of the combustion chamber. That's going to see temperatures of 1,800 degrees. No problem. So if there's a little dribble of oil over time, 100,000 miles worth of little dribbles, it's going to build up a carbon deposits on the backside of the valve. That's what I've noticed. The worse the valve guide seals are leaking, the more the carbon deposits are.
Yeah.
What's up, D-miners?
Drive it like you stole it all the time. It'll happen sooner.
Yes, 100%. And I have a 74 Chevelle that I guarantee you that you see what they used to do back then. They just had like a little rubber square cut O-ring that went around the freaking valve guide, and that was the seal. Yeah. I'm sure those things ejected out of that motor like probably 20 years ago during some oil change. There was little chunks of it in the oil filter because that thing puffs out blue smoke every startup.
So not a part of that particular part of the car, but what do you guys think of solvent traps? Those inline solvent traps
for oil?
For fuel.
I don't know why you'd want to do that. Usually when you put a solvent in fuel, you want it to go through the system.
I don't know. I've been seeing these solvent traps. They're nice, long, cylindrical. They have baffles in them. And I'm like, I could think of a better use for that, but
I don't see that being a good thing, because and Gundy, you know stuff too, so like you could speak up onto this one too. But from what I understand, what that will do is it'll lead you into a potential a fuel starvation situation where you're filtering out so much you actually slow down the volume and you can starve an injector out, and that'll give you like a lean misfire, and that can potentially cause damage to internals on the motor.
I don't know. Maybe it's not for fuel. I don't know. Maybe it's
what was that, Gundy?
Is this for like a diesel tractor or something? What platform are you talking about?
I was seeing things about solvent traps.
Well, he's talking about like filtering out more. This way, you're getting pure fuel.
Oh man.
No, I just look at that as being more of a filter.
I don't know. It might be for oil, like a oil solvent trap or something. I don't know.
And and I can see where somebody would think about that. Unless you're upgrading the oil system to have a higher priming oil, you have to be able to overcome the filters that you're putting onto it, and then have to have enough oil volume still to be able to prime the motor over.
So when it comes to actual car mechanical, engineering, actual use cases, you basically believe that the inline solvent trap with all the baffles in it shouldn't belong in a car at all. I mean, it really would have a better
because like it's negating it's negating the facts of, okay, why are we doing an oil why do you do an oil change at 3,000 miles? Because the combustion chamber is not perfect, and unburnt fuel, gasoline, is going into the oil. What is gasoline? A solvent. What does solvents do? Breaks down oil. Why are we changing oil? Not because the oil went bad. That's always been the known fact. You're getting rid of the solvent out of it. Now, a solvent trap, even in the oil side of it, you're going to sit there and you're going to slow down the volume of oil. Now, the other half of the equation is, now I don't know the chemistry fully behind this. I only know a little bit of this. So I'm going to take my little bit of knowledge and go, okay, this is what I was taught in college, is that once the oil touches the fuel, the breakdown starts to happen from there. It is now in the molecule. You cannot separate that out of the molecule itself. The bonds are being broken. It's the same thing as if you put Fix-A-Flat into your tire. That is a one-time use deal. You put Fix-A-Flat in your tire, you have to buy a new tire afterwards. Why? Because the chemical process of breaking down the oil can never be reversed.
And the Fix-A-Flat will actually eat up the rubber from the inside.
That's what I'm saying. That's the chemical breakdown. Why is it breaking down the tire? Because it's hoping that one of those little rubber bits goes into whatever the fuck that hole is so you can get to in town and get a new tire.
Done. Yeah.
That's what it's for.
It's to block shit.
So it's like one of those things of, it's like a nifty idea. I understand where people are going for it, but because it's a chemical bond issue, you can't stop the process once it's started. A small droplet of gasoline in the oil will start to break down the entire batch of oil.
D-miners earlier said don't buy an Audi.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't want, extreme repair bills for the rest of the car's life, I wouldn't buy one either.
They only get dogged on here in the United States because they don't have any manufacturing out here.
They don't have any emissions either.
Well, that's a good thing. That means they give you all the power.
Yeah, they do. And it's illegal as fuck, but they still do it.
Hey man, my teacher when I was in college had an Audi A4 Quattro. It was brand new.
Like a 2000?
Oh yeah.
99 or something.
Something like that. It was like right when they were first coming out. So we were gonna do a tune-up on it. So
Okay.
he's like, yeah, we're gonna do a tune-up on this, and I'm like, you're gonna trust me to do this? He's like, I trust you out of everybody else in the class.
Busted.
So fucking, he buys his spark plugs, he buys his pliers, and he's got them on the card. He's got all the tools lined up. He's like, I'm gonna trust you to get up in here. He's like, cause like, it's like I'm getting too old to be able to reach up behind these motors like this. And I look up underneath this car, and I'm like, I'm supposed to do it from down here. And he's like, yep. I'm like, I don't even see the spark plugs. He's like, yep. He's like, welcome to mechanics.
Yes.
And so I'm fishing out these things. I'm like, oh, this is almost like working on an old Camaro from the mid mid '80s. Where you're like around the frame member, around steering linkages, just to fish out spark plugs. I'm like, I got this. He's like, you know how much these spark plugs are worth? And I'm like, no. He's like, take a guess. I'm like, this is out of the country. I'm like, $300. He's like, nah. He's like, try 800. I'm like, oh my god.
For one,
plugs?
or for all that you needed
for all of them, for all 6.
Okay.
6? Oh.
Yeah, $800 for 6 spark plugs.
About to say, if it was a 1.8T, that thing was a sludge motor.
and it was another like 600 for the plugs. I was like, oh my lord, it's like $1,400 tune up. He's like, yep, and you're doing it for free. I'm like, you suck. I'm like, Red Lobster's.
That's when you
like,
put the wrench down and say, no, I'm not.
I'm like, Red Lobster's right around the corner, buddy. You know what's up.
And did he take you to Red Lobster?
No, but he gave me like $100 for doing it though.
Okay, all right, fine. That's acceptable then.
Right. I was just happy enough to be able to do the tune-up because it meant that I was going to be able to drive it.
I gotta test it, man. I gotta test
Right?
it.
Test it.
Gotta test it.
He got in the passenger seat, and we went down the road, and I cracked out in third gear, and he's like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, I got another gear. We're hitting this. Fucking 120 in a teacher's car with him in the car with me.
He's like, oh my god, slow down.
He's like, this is why I don't let students drive my vehicles. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm the only one that you've trusted to do that.
Yep.
He still let me drive his car afterwards.
Oh, so it wasn't a one-time deal.
No.
By the way, folks, smash that like button.
Smash it.
Smash
Man,
it.
I've had a guy with guy. What was it? It was a Z350. Yeah, and this was like at the first shop that I worked at. So we did brakes on the thing. We did a good alignment on it. And
On 350?
Yeah, Z350. And customers there. And I'm pulling it up after doing the alignment on it. I'm green, dude. I'm like fucking. I don't even have a full year in the fucking in the field as a professional. Right. I mean, I've worked on cars my whole life, but this is a professional setting now. You know, a little higher volume than what I'm used to.
Yeah, it's not exactly your dad's garage.
Right. You're not doing stuff at your leisure with an adult beverage. And guy walks up to me. He's like, now, I want it to be right. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, yeah. He's like, you need to drive it like I do, though. I'm like, I looked at him. I looked at the car. I looked at him. And I'm like, really? He's like, yes. Everything that just went through your mind, yes, drive like that. I'm like, all right. So I pull around the block and I do it in my normal shakedown route. I get out onto the main road. It gets up to highway speed. I'm like, time to go for it. I just start laying it out, letting it just rev out all the way, just cracking out.
All the way to the red line.
Oh, yeah. I'm cracking out. It's like hitting $8,000 on RPM. This thing's got a twin turbo upgrade system in there.
Oh,
I'm third gear. I'm doing 110.
My first car topped out at 107.
This thing is a 6-speed. I'm in third gear. I click into fourth. I rocket to 165. My exit's right there. I'm like, oh God, I gotta get off. I'm sitting here downshifting, trying to slow down, going up this up ramp, dude. I'm like, oh my God, I'm coming in hot. I get the thing to a stop.
Better downshift by 2 gears.
Oh, I'm downshifting. You can just hear whong, crackle, crackle. Things just popping and banging all over the place. I'm like, this guy can hear me. I'm like, there's no doubt in this. And I pull into the parking lot. Guy walks up to me. He's like, my man. He's like, I heard you take off on that one. He's like, you're a professional, huh? And I'm like, I know a thing or two about a thing or two. I'm like, there's not enough room to get into 5th gear, though. Where do you go into 5th gear, let alone 6th? I'm like, you got an airport you drive this on?
Tarmac.
He like looked at me. I'm like, there's no way. I ran out of room. I would have to keep on going down this road for another mile or 2 to hit 6th gear.
Yeah.
Straightest line I've got out here in California is the 15 going out to Vegas.
Yeah. I was just like
100 miles, it's a
Jesus.
straight line.
At 160, man, you're outrunning your headlights at that point.
I was sitting there talking. I'm like, man, however you got it tuned, it's like fucking lazy. Like, it should crack out harder. It's got all this extra headroom. I should be able to yank to 6th instantly. And it just wouldn't give it to me. I'm like sitting here waiting for it. Once I got in the 4th gear, it was like, yawn. Oh, I fucking fell on its face. I mean, 1 through 3, it was like fucking putting you into the back of the seat with every shift. Fucking 4th gear was just like, whoa, like it just
ratio.
like it ran out of fuel, or it just wasn't like tuned with enough dome pressure to carry out, you know. I don't know, man, but it definitely had a tuning issue on it. I did see the guy afterwards, and it did sound a lot better, so I'm thinking he did go to a tuner finally. But yeah, that thing drove like the first 3 gears, it would just pull hard, dude. I'm like, yeah. 4th gear, it was just like, but still, I mean, like, there's nowhere where you can go where you can get in the 6th gear and let it ride out. That was probably a 197 mile an hour car all day long.
Yeah.
Hey, Techman has something to say for you.
Skeet, skeet. Skeet, skeet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the G35 and the Z350, it's actually the same car. It's just...
It is.
Yeah. It's like Toyota and Lexus.
Yeah.
That was the bad era for Infinity, though, because they stopped coating their exhaust. All their exhaust rusted out.
I still think the G35 was the best that they did. I don't like
the Nissan Z350s, their Achilles heel was brake fade. They had horrible airflow to their brakes, and trying to slow down from 160 miles an hour is a hell of a feat when you got brakes that fade on you.
Yes, sir. I was about to say, like, when you were talking earlier, I was like, go ahead.
That's when you have to treat it like a classic. Don't think anti-lock. Think pump those brakes.
Oh, no. They have that, like, literally you could put an airflow meter near the brake caliper and there's
Melt it.
no airflow going to those brakes.
Yeah, you'd be fucked.
Like it's an inherent flaw on the 350 and the 370s. That's why they get dogged on so badly. That it's not the first time you hit your brakes from 160. It's not your second time. It's your third time.
When it ruptures everything.
No, where it just heats it up so badly. And if you're doing it, like trying to slow down in a small area from that, like you're racing it, it happens exponentially faster because you're applying more brake pressure.
Oh, yeah.
So you lose your brakes a lot faster. So you're trying to you got to be methodical on your downshift. And even when you're downshifting methodically, like I was able to slow it down, but man, it had me questioning myself a little bit, going, oh my God.
It's really scary when you take like a stock car. It's not supposed to go that fast. You tack it out and then you try to hit the brake because it doesn't do anything.
No, they actually had this problem with this car, driving it under the stock configuration on the racetracks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually a known issue. Now, there are ways to mitigate this. You eliminate your fog lights on the car, and you use those for your brake ducts.
Yeah. Put some like 4-inch piping over there right to your brake rotor.
Right, exactly. And you eliminate your brake fade instantaneously.
Yeah, I mean that's what Porsche does. So
you put in you change out your side skirts to have the inlet so that you can put another one for the rear. And there you solve your braking issue right there. That's what the race car guys are doing. But under stock configuration, yeah, the Z350s are junk on the brakes.
Another weird thing was I had some dude like replace the intake on. He had like an older BMW, but like the way he kept getting mass airflow errors, right? So it turned out that there's certain baffles inside a lot of these newer cars intakes where it directs the air in such a certain way, and it has to go into the intake a certain way, certain like spin and certain threshold, that like you'll throw a check engine light if that kind of stuff is not in there.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, they're getting too fucking.
We had one that was on a. What kind of car was it? Hold on, it was like just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I had it. It was a Malibu with a turbo. No, it wasn't a Malibu. It was the Cruise. It was a Cruise with a turbo. That's what it was. Somebody had installed the air filter in the airbox improperly and did not get the airbox to sit down all the way.
Yeah.
And it set the mass airflow sensor off, which set the cat code off because it had the wrong air and fuel mix coming in to the upstream O2 sensor, which set the catalytic converter thing.
So it dumps fuel. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. It was like the check engine lights flashing and stumbling. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. Broken airbox because somebody improperly installed the air filter.
Yeah. Don't take your car to Iffy Lube.
No. This is where I work at right now, and that person's now like the assistant manager.
Dealerships are just as bad, man. They hire stupid people just the same. If they can pay you like $10 an hour and you can just do their fluid maintenance, they're happy with that, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Dude, I miss
They
working.
they can get away with $10 an hour. That's what they'll do.
In my leisure.
It's like, yeah, the Cruise is such a silly engine design. Yeah. I call those icky. The GM says Ecotech. I say Icky Techs.
Yeah.
Because like I remember back in my day, When the Ecotechs were just starting to come out, they had the 2.4 Ecotech motor. And what they were really known for was going, hot, hooey, and new head gasket, please.
Every down.
Oh my God. That
So
was
much
like
for
the
your
number
fuel
one.
savings.
Right, you're like, oh yeah, cool, excellent. Pooey, another head gasket, please. It's like, oh fuck, dude, this is like the second one in 3 years. I've only owned the car for 5.
Yeah, that's good old government motors for you guys. You know, I you know those 3.8s. I can't tell you how many freaking
Hey man, don't be
that-
dogging on my beloved 3.8s now.
those 3.8s are freaking joke.
Whatever you do,
No,
don't get
no,
the Chevy
no,
V.
no.
Don't get
Because
the
like
Chevy
if you know
V6,
that,
it's a 3.4. Okay, that's total.
yeah,
3.4
the
is
3.6 is
even
a
worse.
3.4. It's a
Yeah,
redesigned
the
3.4.
3.4 is enough,
The
yeah.
3.5
Maybe.
got the 3.5 was eliminated. The 3.4 turned into the 3.6. They stroked it and changed the heads.
That was the crap they were putting in the minivans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chevy Venture.
And
Yeah,
your 3.8, my dude.
Total lemon.
Your 3.8 liter awesome motor is the freaking original Grand National motor. I'm sorry, but that's a Buick engine and not a GM. And remember, GM got pissed off at the GNX program. What did the GNX use? A 3.8 with a turbo, and it was faster than their fucking Corvette. Booyah!
I mean, it's like the new Supra. You can take a piece of crap BMW motor, you know, put some decent Honda engineering behind it, fix all the problems, and then you got a decent race motor that you can run on the track full tilt.
Hey, the way I looked at it is you took your 3.8. First, you could take I would say you can take any of the generations of the 3.8s, and you wanted to do two things. If it came with a plastic intake, you swap that out for the Gen 1. Gen 1 slapped on there without an issue. Second thing, if you had long life coolant in there, you removed all that coolant out of there and you put the green stuff back in there. And that solved your intake problem. You have no more intake issues after that point. That is a solid motor.
The problem was you know, all those independent shops would replace the seals and filters and stuff with like aftermarket bullshit, and then it would just leak again in like 10,000 miles.
That's because they put the long life coolant back in.
Yeah,
it's that fucking long life. It's acidic.
It's the same with the Subarus with the H mounted. Like if you don't put stock coolant in there, like from the Subaru factory stuff, like you're gonna have head gasket leaks.
Right. And then GM was the other way around. You had to put the green stuff in there to stop your intake problem.
Yeah.
So you had to revert back to the original formula because they never changed the gasket. It was the same old gasket, new coolant.
My parents had like I think it might have been the 3.3. It was like in
God, that was such a dog of a motor, and that was like in the old, like the Oldsmobile.
Was that like the transport minivans when they came out?
Something like that, yeah.
The 3.3. That was the one that blew intakes like fucking cherry bombs, like every like 5,000 miles.
Hey, good night, D-miners.
Later. Yeah, I like it's like, but I love my 3.8. It's like I even kept like my Monte Carlo. I know I smoked the 3.8 block, and that was why I was like, I'm gonna get rid of the car. But that supercharger and the supercharger intake, I'm keeping. Thank you.
DPPs or whatever they were.
No, mine's the SS. So my SS had the supercharger on there. You had the GT, the GTP, and the GXP. And the GXP had the 5.3 motor in there.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've seen any like in life any one of those.
Yeah, I've worked on a whole bunch of them. The one that I want to get my hands on, if I had a chance to buy one, is the Chevy SS. It was just the SS. There was no other name to them.
Yeah, they only made them for like what, 2 or
Like
3 years?
2 years. They were rear-wheel drive, 4-door with a 350 in them. It had the LT2 motor in there.
The closest Chevy SSs that you can find out here are in Mexico. You can't get them in California.
No, people know better not to sell them because they really didn't. They were not a
Well, they
highly
probably can't.
sought
You
after
probably
car
can't sell them
in
in California.
any way, shape, or form. They came out and people were like, ugh. And then weirdos like myself are like, oh, I want one.
I know. I saw that thing and I'm like, oh.
It's like it's like the last generation of the Pontiac GTOs. People are like,
Yeah.
why do you want the last generation of the Pontiac GTOs? I'm like,
Oh,
the
those
hood
guys.
was amazing on those, and they were made in the Holden plant. And if you know about the Holden plant, that's the plant that's in Australia, and that's the same plant that the Mad Max car came out of. The very first Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, this freaking car that had the supercharger, that was an actual Holden car from the Holden factory in Australia.
Yeah, what you
Oh, I just looked them up. There's a 2017 Chevy SS in Fontana.
I know, those things are so nice. You
I
like see them and you're like, oh God, I gotta get one. But they want so much for them.
know it was like $39,000.
Yeah, but look at the mileage
It's
on
got
it.
71,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
There's one that's a 2014 Chevy SS in Norco. That's a little bit closer. 124,000 miles. It's $26,000.
Yeah, they're just now. They have just recently come over to 100,000 miles now. Whenever I was first hunting around for them, they were sitting at around 50,000 miles. If you ever found one, they were at 50K.
It's like trying to get an old, like early '90s Japanese car with like less than 200K on it right now.
Oh my God, yeah. Try to get a fair an original Skyline under 30,000 miles.
Yeah. I mean, you can import them a lot more now. Like what? We're up to
They're off the ban list. The first gen
34,
Skylines.
35 you can get now in the country, like without emissions.
Yeah, 25 years. Anything older than 25 years is grandfathered in. So the very first generation Nissan Skylines are 100% legal to come into the country again. And those things rev out to a 9,000 RPM. Instantaneously gets on chip, dude.
Yeah, they wind out, man. It's like putting a 10K on a Honda. Like it just winds out for days.
Oh no, dude! Like you need to watch videos of original Skylines and watch them just go into a drift and just watch how quickly they come up on the chip, and you just hear wah, bah, 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 and they just stay there on the chip the whole time, just angry, pissed off. Let me go.
Violent explosions.
Oh my God! I'm like the only thing that sounds cooler than that is a rotary motor.
Yeah, those are a different beast, man.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I always hated working on all those craps. Like a RX-8 comes in and be like, nope, not doing it.
You
That's for
see,
you.
I'm the guy that's like, oh, you have an RX-7? Oh, yo, right here.
7,
Oh.
maybe. 8?
Oh,
8
I'll
had
work
a
on the
big
8s.
problem,
They've
but-
got they're a little bit more dog stuffed in there, so you can't do the rotor upgrades on them, but they come out just as easy.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is just seeing it. Do you have oil dripping out of the exhaust? If yes, it's being oiled properly.
Pull everything out.
Is it
Much
blowing
water
out
in the
black smoke? Because that's the sign that Apex Seal is blowing on it, and it's like, the air mix is getting a little lean. It's getting a little hot. I mean, each rotor only has 12 seals on it. I mean, it's not bad.
The most blasphemous turbo I've ever had the pleasure of working on was a Mazda Speed 3.
I liked the Mazda Speed 3, huh? The one with the smile, not the newer one.
Oh man, they were
The new Mazda 3s.
doo-doo, straight doo-doo. Like blowing
The best
missed the
one that
Speed
I've
3.
ever been around was an 88 millimeter turbo.
That's pretty decent size.
Yeah,
like-
yeah. I mean, you could pass a grapefruit through it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god!
I
And like,
don't-
it turns out when you turn the car off, the turbo just spins for another like 20 minutes. Like, you're like, holy fuck, dude!
I don't need a turbo timer. I just gotta wait 2 minutes for it to stop.
And I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, how bad is the turbo lag on that? And he's like, you don't let it get onto the turbo lag. You keep those RPMs up. Like, oh my god.
That's the good thing that people are doing now with the dual turbos is they'll have a very small, like hand-sized turbo that would be feeding a giant turbo. You know, so you get that instant pickup off the bat, and then like you're just.
That's not kind of what they're doing. The reason that they're doing that is heat load. So they're using the hot exhaust to turn the first turbo, and that goes in with the cooler air. Technically, it's to go after the second turbo, and
It's just
you don't
less-
see
less
that. That's not a
latency for
practical
the
usage
horsepower.
of them. The McLaren uses that setup.
A lot
but
of German. shit.
Nobody else really does. Most people are using, twin 88 millimeter turbos for the race cars because, like, in a higher RPM, you're going to turn those turbos no matter what. So, I mean, you're going to get the good turbo boost off of it. It's just a matter of how much dome pressure you got in the cylinders to get the turbos to really pop. Versus how much RPM you're actually utilizing. So if you're not really super high RPM, you're going to go with smaller turbos so they spin faster and they stay spun more. So you don't have that drop in turbo RPM. And, it's like it with. And then with the, if you're going to be like drag racing and stuff, you're going to be trying to put as much airflow into there as humanly fucking possible. And you're going to have ice buckets in there, and your turbos are being breathed through an ice filtration system so that it cools the air down before it hits your motor.
1000 cc injectors.
2 of them.
Yeah.
Last thing you want is the motor to go lean at those RPMs.
Oh my god.
That's just
All
as
of
catastrophic as like you're under nitrous and the fuel feed with that's spraying with the nitrous breaks and stops, and you just get fed pure nitrogen in there, and it goes nitrogen lean. Oh wow, that's meltdown of however many cylinders. It doesn't even care how many. It just grenades the block. You need the fuel to go down with it. Otherwise, it literally just leans out because you're putting nothing but air into the system.
Yeah. The variable valve timing only works so well.
Oh, on a race car, there is no variable valve timing on that shit, dude. Oh my god, they're playing with spark advance on the thing. That's about it.
On or off.
And by the time you realize that your fuel feed for your nitrous didn't work, you already melted your motor down.
Yeah. It's a hood ornament now.
You have pistons of hood ornaments. Now, if you have a billet block, hopefully you didn't throw you didn't make a window in the block with a connecting rod. But yeah, you're gonna be pounding in new cylinder sleeves into it.
Oh man, I did that a couple of times on like race motors for like German cars, and man, when they tell you to replace like the whole of them as a set, they mean it, because those tolerances are so tight. If you get like if you only replace like half of them, or like you get 2 from one set, 2 from another, like they won't be the same size, and you're like, this is crazy, man. It's just, when you're pushing power like that, you really need to have your shit dialed in right.
You see, I know people that have experimented with slightly different connecting rods in each hole.
Oh, like to get like the tolerance where they want it.
Yeah. So I've seen people monkey with it. I've helped my uncle shim spark plugs for an hour.
Yeah.
That
just
sucked.
Just open it just a little bit more. Just,
No. You the gasket that people think is a gasket is actually a shim. It stops the electrode tip from pointing in a certain direction in the cylinder, right? So you just dyno it, and you one by one take out the shim, put a new shim in there, and it just clocks the spark plug in the hole differently so that the flame goes in a specific direction first. And you're talking about picking up tenths of power. But when you're doing a freaking a quarter-mile rip, that could be like a quarter of a second tuning on there.
Yeah.
Push rods, Sadie. I bend push rods for fun.
What's a push rod?
You mean business when your push rods are as big as your thumb. I mean, your stocks are like your pinky.
Yeah.
Your hot rodders are like your index finger.
Yeah.
And then your full pure drag racing are like your thumb.
Donut size, yeah. Donuts.
And when you're bending ones that are like the size of your thumb, yeah, you know you just messed up your motor.
Yeah. It's like you break a bone. You can look at it and be like, it might not feel too fucked up, but your shit's pointing in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like old drag racer of mine. I mean, like there's like probably one time I caught it where I'm like, I redo my valve lash, and I'm like, why is this one way out of lash? I mean, not just a little bit, but way, like Grand Canyon in there. Pull out the push rod, and that thing's like got a U shape in there. I'm like, what happened on the other side? Pull out my flat tappet, and it's like compressed all the way, and I'm like, wow, you flattened out.
Crazy. I
go back and I'm like, I wonder, take off the valve spring off of there, put it in my valve spring compressor, see what the tolerance is, and I'm like, oh wow, this valve spring is done. I guess I'm replacing all my valve springs tonight.
Yeah, that's another thing people don't, really take. Like people don't do that kind of engine work anymore. People don't like replace their suspensions anymore.
Oh God,
it's crazy. Like they just throw away their car, go buy a new one.
Man, I like one of the guys at my work. Me and him kind of got into a disagreement. Well, I won't call it an argument, just a disagreement. He's like,
okay.
He's like, shocks are good as long as you got them. As long as you're not leaking, they're a good shock. And I'm like, I disagree with that. Because one, there's got rubber seals in there. Rubber is fact, science. You can't argue science. Rubber's only good for 6 years. Science. Can't argue here.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
So technically, if it's 6 years old, you can recommend shocks. I don't care what the mileage is. Science.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I'm like, 60,000 miles, I'm going to guarantee you that I can compress the shock, and that shock is either not going to come springboarding back out, or it's going to think about coming out, and it's not going to extend all the way. I'm like, this has been my experience. He's like, oh, that's just something that the aftermarket people want you to believe. And I'm like, bro, I've taken shocks out of vehicles that they didn't come back out after 60,000 miles. You compress them, and that was it. They stayed there. And he's like, no, that's not all that. That's because they were leaking. I'm like, they weren't leaking. There was no residue of oil on it. They were freaking kaput. I'm like, it's just known fact. And he's like, I work for Dodge. There's no service interval on those. And I'm like, and you never looked at the service interval on this shit, dude. Even GM's got a service interval of 60,000 miles or 6 years, whichever comes first. That's GM. And I was like, I bet you Dodge has a service interval also for what? An O2 sensor. Do you know what the O2 sensor service interval is? He kind of looked at me. I'm like, $80K. $80K, bro. Supposed to replace that. Subsequently, right around the same time that the warranty goes up on the catalytic converter, you're supposed to replace the O2 sensor. Nobody does that.
And those are another things where cheap gas will get you too, man.
Yeah.
Cheap gas.
It's a sensor with holes in it going into an area that has black soot. Yeah, and they last forever, right? They don't clog up. It's not your filter.
They don't clog up. Get out of here.
Whatever.
Get out of here.
It's like, oh my God. And they're like, oh, you like to argue. You're always right. And I'm like, why is it because I am right, I have to be always right? I just make valid damn points, damn it.
You know what?
Prove me wrong.
Yeah. You know, they don't make men like us anymore now.
I know.
Be like, just show it to me. I'll fix it. You know what the hell? I'll figure it out.
I mean, they all know that they can hand me any car and I can frickin' work on it. So it's like,
it got so bad at the end for me. It was like all I was doing was like freaking electrical nightmare German cars. I'm like, get this crap out of here.
right?
Like, I need to make some Toyota timing belt money too, you know?
Yeah. Like, why do I want to have an electrical problem? Fucking, I'm tired of dealing with that constantly. And they were trying to get me one right before I was leaving today. And I'm like, bro, I don't care what it is. I'm like, I don't want to do it. They looked at me and I'm like, I'm not here for the next 2 work days. So if it needs to be fixed today, I'm not going to be here to fucking do it.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, give it to the other guy that's going to be here tomorrow. So if it becomes a little bit more involved, he's got time for it, and I don't have to come in on my day off.
Well, you know, being on the flag time too, like those managers play around. Like you don't play ball with them; they'll choke your paycheck out.
I've got my 2-week notice in.
Definitely getting your paycheck choked out next week.
Like, freaking come get some.
I do
Like,
not miss flat rate.
You know, it's one of those things that's a dual-edged sword. You know, it's like, I like it because it gives you the opportunity to make a lot of money.
Summertime is awesome, yeah.
But it's like, if you got a crappy work environment or no customers or both, yeah, that's when it sucks.
Yeah. Damn, it's been an hour.
Yo. Yeah. I was just looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, damn.
Damn, son.
It's time for a fucking announcement.
I think so. I think we need FAs in the chat. Till we get FAs, we can't do it. There's no way. There's
Hold on. There's only 3 people watching according to Firefox, so it looks like it's just us 3. We might have outlasted our audience.
Maybe.
Dang.
We have at least Sadie here.
Okay. All right. Well, that means that one of us that's live streaming isn't watching the live stream.
Yeah, way to go, Chris. Thanks.
Yo, what up, Sadie?
Yeah, well, you know, they like the cars too. Maybe we should just turn Fridays into like car nights. Didn't we talk about cars last week? What the hell?
It seems to be a thing that we're all passionate about. You know, you guys have obviously more mechanical, expertise than I do, but I will say that I've just finished going through and looking at sedans, manuals with over 300, horsepower, and it's all Subarus and BMWs, and a couple Chevys that I've seen so far.
BMW, I'll tell you to stay away from. Not because they're a bad car or anything in any way, shape, or form. I love German engineering, okay? That's not the problem. They're very expensive to fucking maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Subaru, because of the design that they've chosen for the motor, they're plagued with fucking gasket problems. Plagued with gasket problems. They are plagued with piston ring issues because of the boxer motor. The top of the pistons don't get oil. They don't get enough oil on the top of the pistons, so it ruins the fucking piston rings. So it's common to replace motors on those.
Well, it looks like Sadie's the only person still here. So, Sadie, it's time for your fucking announcement.
Oof.
Sadie sometimes is rated F for fucking awesome. Oh, man. But yeah, like I know that we're not the only channel that does Fridays and we just don't talk crypto. It's like we talk about whatever comes up, and it just happens to frequently be crypto and cars that we talk about.
Hey man, I can't help it that you guys got
Misfit
crypto
Mining,
and
those guys,
hot rods here. Sorry.
Get out of here, Nem, and your hot rods.
Right, I'm
Done
so
with new
sorry.
cars, going back to classics. Yes.
I really
Amen.
hate working on the new stuff because it's just like you're just hunting down electrical problems. Like a lot of time, like back in the day, it was like, oh, you have this problem? Oh, we need to replace this, and this. Now it's like, oh, you got this problem? Fuck. We gotta rip apart half dash. We got power going there.
I still gotta say the classic that I like, my dream classic to this day still
Has to be before 1979.
Nope, is the 1981 DeLorean. Okay, and before that, before the 79s. Okay.
Okay.
The 69 Charger.
So I'm gonna give you if you ever have the displeasure of getting yourself a DeLorean.
Oh, that motherfucker's gonna be rebuilt to God knows what.
No, you have to bring it to
Resto mod.
No, you got to bring it to somebody that knows DeLoreans. And the first thing they have to do, I know it sounds stupid, they got to rip the intake off.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Like
No.
that
This
whole
is before.
damn
No,
thing
You're not listening to me in any way, shape, or form. Before you buy the car, you have to find somebody that knows DeLoreans. They have to rip the intake off the car for an inspection of a key spot, which is underneath the valve, underneath the intake. There's an oil passage down in the valley that if the water pump or the coolant pressure sensor there ever leaks down into the valley, which is a common problem, you start having an oil leak problem that doesn't seem like you understand where it's coming from. It comes from the valley. Once that pipe is broken, it's part of the block. Your block is done. This is a common fatality of DeLoreans. Fatal flaw.
That's why I'm replacing everything.
It's
not going to be anything. It's not going to be DeLorean except for anything. Like there's nothing going to be DeLorean about it except the shell and the interior.
That's not even DeLorean.
I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna put a dadgum freaking Chevy, V8 in there or something. I don't care. Dude, have you? Seen the 1,000 horsepower DeLorean?
Because of the rarity of those cars. If you got
it's 110,000, even out the gate.
Right, because of the rarity on there, I'm like, I would be trying to make it all original.
See, I would.
That's
get
really
the
hard
DeLorean.
To do now.
I'd take it to
Oh,
my
it's not
buddy
hard.
Mark over at Gotham Garage, okay, or just to say, You know what? I'm gonna go see my boy Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey Brian, you ever work on one of these?
No, I've only driven the one that was used in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've worked on them before.
I think it was in movie number
Pumping
2.
one. But it's up there all aluminum.
Stainless steel bodies.
No,
Stainless
yeah,
steel
the stainless steel.
Yes,
Unpainted stainless steel that's been lapped.
it's been a long week.
That's why it's got that like brushed material. That's like a
I know
flat
it.
flapper wheel.
That's why it doesn't need
paint.
It's so hard
Paint.
to duplicate too if you have like a body.
Oh no, you can duplicate it really easy, dude. They make a tool for that. It's freaking cool. It's a
Do
flat. They call it a flapper tool. It's like little pieces of leather with sandpaper on it, and it puts the grain back into it identically.
Oh,
Oh.
I heard that was the biggest complaint back in the day, like those things, because of the damn.
No, people just didn't want to go through the painstaking effort of actually doing it the right way.
Yeah,
They were trying to justify
Find
them
a shortcut.
painting it red.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
Sure
seen
could.
one of those things. I mean, while it looked cool, it won't freaking stainless steel. It's just a different vibe about a stainless steel one. But that's my thing. I would totally get stainless steel, DeLorean. Take it down to a shop like, Gotham Garage and say, I want you to gut this thing and make it the way it should have been made.
Hard to do. Hard to do.
I know,
But we
I know.
are at that hour and a half marker now.
Which means it's time for a real announcement.
Yeah, let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, DCA Adventure is rated F for fucking awesome.
Yeah. Mm.
So thank you everybody
Oh, my
for being
shoulder.
here. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. All
Don't
that
forget
good
to tune
stuff.
in tomorrow.
Heck yeah, you're gonna have our man Crypto Mikkel in the morning, of course. You're gonna have Serpent. I think you're gonna have
Rabid.
Rabbit.
Panda.
Rabbit, maybe Panda. I'm not really sure about his schedule yet.
I think the gang's all back in town this week, right?
I think
Yeah.
so. I think so.
Regular Saturday morning lineup.
I'm not sure what everybody's got going on. I'll probably be on live also in the afternoon
Ooh.
on crypto and hot rods. Giving some guys some spicy updates. So tune in, be there
Love it.
or be square. All the cool kids are going to be there. Yo.
Yo.
So thank you everybody for being here. All that good stuff. Anybody got anything else right before we get up out of here?
Like, subscribe, join the Discord if you haven't already, and tune in tomorrow night for Mining After Dark.
Woo! And with that being said, thank you everybody for being here. Peace out. Stay savage. And we'll see you on the next one. Yo.
Peace out, guys.
Nick.